Freaky Friends. I'm Margaret.
And I'm Colleen.
And we're the Cousins Weird.
Woo! Let's really sound like there's a lot of people.
And we're filming today in front of a live studio audience.
We are at AnchorCon 2023, and we have some lovely audience members with us. And this is gonna be fun.
It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Let me just say that we were up against Carla Perez, who played, what was her full name?
Rita
Repulsa. We're up against her.
For
We
the Power
still got
Rangers.
people. We still got people.
Yes.
So I'm pretty impressed with
I am
us,
too.
really. No one's here against their will.
Maybe
one
Maybe
person.
Richard.
No, the
Richard, you have to come.
the husband's weird came on his own accord. He did not. I did not make him.
If my husband was off work, he would have.
He
his
would be
butt
here too.
Yeah, I would make him.
Yeah.
He would want.
So
to.
my
I'm
husband
sorry,
saved.
I meant he would want to be here.
Of course. My husband saved my life this morning because but Sundays are when I put my medicine in a container, and then you take your medicine throughout the week. It's Monday through Friday. And I'm on crazy pills. Your girl's a little nuts, so she needs some medicine. And I didn't do that this morning, and I was rushing about, and routine was off, and I didn't take them. So thankfully, I was able to get a hold of him before he left the house, and he brought them. So I just took them. So if I'm a little crazy, that's why I just took my medicine.
She panicked for about 15 minutes.
I panicked for 15 minutes because I couldn't get a hold of him. And I'm like, oh, I got to get left. Oh, my God, what am I going to do? Because, the focus won't be there.
And, he had to take a shower and stuff.
He was showering. And I'm like, my God, would he answer his phone? You know how you get mad.
He's all wet in the shower. He's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It all worked out, though. So I'm medicated. You have a medicated Colleen now, so we're good. So we thought we would do something sort of local. Last year we did cryptids. We did two different things.
Yes.
I don't even know what she's doing. We usually don't know what each other are doing. If you listen to our podcast, Anthony, you know. Richard knows.
And I really love to surprise Colleen with horrible things.
Yeah, she likes to
Nothing horrible today.
She likes to make me vomit or be horrified in some way. So
go and listen to The Mother of Rabbits. That's my best horrifying of Colleen. That was the best one.
That
her
was
face.
awful.
I wish that we taped it because her face during the whole thing was like.
I was horrified.
It was fantastic.
Today we're going to talk about the most popular ghost of all time.
Of all time.
No, not Casper. The White Lady. And her story can be traced back throughout history and continents. Like, the White Lady is in everything. And you can't really pinpoint her origins because every culture everywhere has a white lady ghost.
Or a lady in white. Or a woman in white.
Woman in white is also what they call it. So she can be traced in Europe, North America, Russia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia.
Were you going to do your joke?
I haven't got there yet.
Oh.
She's ruining my whole setup. You just ruined my whole setup.
We're doing everything.
That's the sad thing. We were just
shut up.
I'm going to kick her under the table, but you can see it, so I can't. Okay, so almost every state in our country has at least one story of a white lady, and I'm not referring to a Karen, friends. That was my joke. She ruined it. Thank you.
Still a good joke.
Yes, thank you. So no matter what version you hear about the white woman or woman in white or the white lady, it's always a woman dressed in white, obviously, right? We know that part.
Speak to your manager.
Yes, and she always says, I want to speak to a manager, and her hair is in an inverted bob. Always.
And it's puffy. It's usually straight and puffy.
And there's some low lights happening.
Chunky highlights.
Yes!
I literally have an Aunt Karen that's a Karen.
So you're I know. So, anyway, really for real, this poor woman is not a Karen.
She could have been a Karen. You don't know.
I don't think she's always suffered a loss, right? Okay. There's something painful in her. Well, maybe that's why Karen's the way they are. I don't know.
She lost her place in line.
Yeah,
to talk to a manager.
She didn't get the ranch on the side.
Thy toilets had no toilet.
Yeah. Something terrible happened to her, and she's wearing a white dress. And maybe Karen should start wearing white dresses so we can pin them out real quick, right? Some are forever waiting for a sailor to return home. Some are victims of accidental death. Husbands betrayed them in some way. Murder, suicide.
Or cheating husband.
Or they've killed their own children, which, not cool. Yeah. She probably is the most talked about ghost, though, because we always hear about a lady in white. And movies like The Grudge and The Ring stem from... You're welcome,
if you want to come in.
The White Lady legend. Like those, it's the Asian version of the White Lady legends. And the White Lady is fabled to appear on a day and night if a family member is going to die. So apparently, if a white lady appears in your house, someone's going to die. And that's not a good thing you want to have happen.
Does this tie into that legend I did on the Japanese with the black teeth?
It kind of does. Yeah, because it's all over the world. And then they also will appear within photos just after a death. And there's a lot of, like, if the white lady appears, something bad's going to happen. You don't want that to happen. So this is cool or not. So we have our own upstate New York lady in white, or white lady, or whatever, Karen, you want to call her. And that's in Rochester. And the white lady of the Durand and Eastman Park. Is that how you say it? Durand? I'm really bad at saying words, so. And if you listen to us, you know that. I don't ever say anything right. Margaret has
Durand. You think
Durand.
You'd put an extra N in that one.
Oh, I did. It is Durand. I just spelled it wrong the first time.
Park.
Yes, the Durand Eastman Park in Rochester, which we lived in Rochester. Well, right outside of it. When I went to college, Margaret and I moved there. And I didn't even know this existed.
I didn't either.
So, until there was an article in the paper that talked about it, and I was like, what? So, the Durand Eastman Park is 977 acres, and yeah, it's huge. Which I'm like, how did we not hear? There's a beach. There's all sorts of stuff going on in there. It's supposed to be really beautiful. The early 1900s, Henry Durand owned a Boy Scout summer camp there, and his bestie was George Eastman. And if you don't know who George Eastman is, he's
Kodak.
the founder of Kodak. Mm-hmm. So he convinced his buddy Henry that Rochester needed a public park with a beachfront. He had the beachfront. He had a summer camp there. So he was like, let's buy up all the farmland around it and we will donate it to Rochester. So that's what they did, which yay for them. So that's nice. Really cool. So in 1907, they gave the property to the city of Rochester and they spent 2 years developing the land. It's really engineered. They built like hills and they built like man-made ponds and more stuff to do there. But apparently it's gorgeous. I don't know. I've never been. So in 1909, it was dedicated to the city, and it earned the reputation as a paranormal hotspot. So for generations, sightings of the woman in white have been seen roaming through the park. So who is she? Why is she there? Let me tell you. So the story goes, there's a stone wall that looks very much like a medieval castle, and people say that it's where the lady in white and her daughter lived centuries ago. The woman named Alyssa, and Alyssa's teenage daughter asked if she could go for a walk down by the lake. And Alyssa was very protective of her daughter. But that day, she was like, okay, all right, I'll let you go by yourself. But she normally would never do this. But of course, the one time she lets her daughter go off on her own, what happens?
She dies.
She doesn't come back. She never sees her again. And Alyssa is like so sad, obviously. Her daughter never came back. And she had 2 German shepherds, and they spent weeks upon weeks searching for her daughter and never found her. So Alyssa was full of grief, obviously, and not able to find her daughter. So she herself jumped off the cliffs in that area into the Lake Ontario to her death, which is sad. And her dogs apparently followed her, which makes me more sad. I don't know. That says a lot about me, but any animals die. I'm like, a person dies, but an animal dies. Oh.
That's how the black dogs are created. The black dog legends.
Yes, exactly. So some say the daughter was murdered by a lover. Like there was a local farm boy that she thought was a good person that obviously wasn't. Others say she was abducted by violent marauders. I can never say. Thank you. Marauders. So Alyssa to this day is walking on the lakefront looking for her daughter.
Oh, okay.
Which is very sad.
It is sad.
Now, people say they see a white lady with her 2 ghost hounds along the beachfront, and they scare people who come at night. Of course, if I was not there, anywhere, and there was a glowing white lady with 2 ghost hounds, I'm going to be scared. I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to stay. I'm going to go home.
Was she scarier, real hounds or ghost hounds?
I don't know. I feel like if there's hounds anywhere, it's never a good sign.
No.
So on foggy nights, she can be seen. And you're like, come here, I got a treat.
Get a ghost treat.
I guess I'd be less afraid of a ghost dog than a ghost person because
That's true.
dogs like me. She can be seen on foggy nights rising from the Durand Lake, which is a small lake that faces Lake Ontario. So she'll rise out. So sometimes they call her the Lady of the Lake, which we've all heard about the Lady of the Lake.
King Arthur.
King Arthur, yes. It is known that she does not like men. Same. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Only her husband.
Some I don't, but not all. So because she really blames a man. She's like, some man took my daughter from me. So she does not like dudes. She's like, if there's a dude around, she's after him. She's chased men into the lake. She's shaken their cars. She's frightened them out of the park. And there's a makeout point there along the side of the road where all the teens go to make out. You know, and that was a thing. And they say that if you go there, she's going to get on top of your car and try to kill the man inside. She's very protective of women because we're scaring people all left and right. And so, where was I? Oh, yeah. Get your picture with Clifford. Make out point.
Speaking of ghost dogs.
Speaking of dogs, Makeout Point is along the roadside there's a road that runs along the side of the park. And that's where teenagers go, to make out. Uh-huh. And she's going to get on top of your car and try to kill you. So don't go. And a lot of her stories, are cautionary tales. Don't go to the lake at night or you're going to die. All around the world, a lot of them tied to cautionary tales. So it's a good way to scare young people into not doing the things you don't want to. So,
or the things that you don't want them to do?
Yeah, make out. Don't go do it.
Park it.
Because the lady in white's going to reach in
the
the car and
kill you.
Yeah. Unless you're a girl.
Then you're fine.
So 2 lesbians.
Lesbians are...
2 girls are okay to go.
Solid. Go make out.
Making out is just proving you're brave then.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, if any horror movie, who's dead first?
The ones that have sex.
Exactly.
It's true.
The ones that have sex are dying first. Yeah. So it's, we all know this.
Virgin lasts.
The virgin is the only one that lives. The stone wall that is left behind that people think is a castle is actually the stone foundation of an old refreshment stand, which is not as romantic. It was in 1911. They built this Spanish fort-style wooden structure was on top, but the bottom base looks just like a castle, like the pictures of it. And I always say and I edit that out, but you're hearing it. You're hearing it raw and fresh now. I'm a ummer.
I'm a ummer.
Raw and fresh. I'll probably get killed first because I said that. The wooden structure that burnt down on the top, it left a staircase and it looks very eerie and very medieval and very cool. So that's her legend kind of became part of that structure that's left. And because she's sighted around there a lot. They've seen her around the foundation, and anyway, so they kind of taken the legend and made it part of what's left in the park. It's such a popular legend in Rochester, which can't be too popular because I didn't hear about it until now.
Either. But honestly, who did we hang out with that was from Rochester?
Yeah, I was in college, so everyone that was there were from other places anyway.
Right.
So,
and I just worked and went home.
Oh, we were real partiers in college.
She was in college. I just was
big
there.
nerds. That's what we were.
Yeah. Basically, we went to concerts.
We did go to
We did
concerts.
some good concerts. We had Weezer.
We did.
Kiss.
Was Weezer when we were in college?
Was right after.
Oh.
You were still living there, but I wasn't. I was married.
Oh. See, we get on a tangent. Okay, anyway. So, what was I saying? Oh, it was such a popular legend that Native he's a filmmaker. His name is Frank Logie. He's from Rochester. There is a movie called The Lady in White It's a horror film from 1988. I've never seen it, but we need to watch it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and
it's 88. Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Yes, and right now, let's watch it. So it's been like a big thing in Rochester. So there's a Rochester Candlelight Ghost Walks, which is they host specific Lady in White ghost walks, and the owner of it, his name is Jenny Oneski. Yep. And the owner, she's the owner, and she teamed up with a psychic in Rochester called Shelley Phillips. And the two went in with EMF detectors and temperature readers and white noise monitors to like kind of find out about the Lady in White. And what they said was that they determined that Alyssa's daughter ran away to be with a lover, a local farm boy, and they ran off together. And she actually never died. She lived her life, but the mom was grieving so much that that energy's still there. So they have.
This is according to psychics, though. So it's not like did they like look her up?
There's no actual historical evidence that this person ever existed.
Okay, so it's just
psychics. Which listen, sometimes psychics know more than
sometimes
historians. We don't know. So they said they have captured electro voice phenomenons there. And then Jenny said that in 2009, their Rondequoit Police Department told her that they have had numerous sightings there. Like people call the police, and even the officers themselves have seen her in that area. So there are people that claim that they've seen her, and even the police say they have. She's been spotted in the nearby golf course. She's going for a round.
There's men there.
She's like, I'm gonna get those men in those plaid pants.
That was that Japanese ghost too. She always went after men.
Yeah, they don't like men. She's in the nearby neighborhoods and can be seen in the Irondequoit Cemetery, which is, extra creepy and cool.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the best part of this whole story. And this part's real creepy because you can see the pictures. So in March of 2017, there was a big windstorm that happened in Rochester that like damaged a lot of trees and stuff. And one tree right near where the Lady in White Castle, they call it, the foundation, was damaged by it. And the bark was like torn off the tree. And it looks just like a woman like this holding a baby. Like it's supposed to represent. And it looks just like what you would think the Lady in White would look like. Just the damage on the tree. So it was a huge thing. People were like coming from all over to take pictures of it. Cool. And it was, really cool. And I'll post those pictures on our socials. But in June of 27th in 2023, this is what brought me to this, was when they did a historical marker that was placed to commemorate the White Lady of Durand Eastman Park. So they actually have official historical site, even though there's no historical proof of her, but there's been so many sightings of her that they dedicated the site to her. And it reads, the White Lady, grieving ghosts and her wolf-like hounds. They were German shepherds, but it doesn't sound as creepy if you say that. Appear in the night mist, searching the roadside for her lost daughter. And then the Monroe County executive, Aidan Bellow, says, on misty nights, you will still see the White Lady ghost wandering down the roadside or shimmering over the lake.
Shimmying.
She was shimmying. Now that's all I'll ever see.
Leave it to me. Get a shimmy in there. She's shimmying over the lake.
Where's my daughter? Okay. No matter where. Yes. Ooh, we need a t-shirt with that on it. A shimmy and White Lady going, ooh.
You totally do.
Oh, God. So, no matter where she comes from or where she's seen, the White Lady's haunting presence has lasted centuries. She fascinates everyone who hears about her, and her story has been shared and passed down through generations. Only differences are the cultural elements around the story. So in East Asia, there's, like The Grudge. Like I can do that noise perfectly when I hear it.
Stop.
It's my only talent. I can do the Grudge noise.
Stop.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
But one thing that remains is a constant imagery or symbolism of tragedy. So she's associated with tragedy, and it's never good. And I have to tell you a story. When I was so there wasn't a death involved, but there was a like my first. He's my second husband. I just collect him. The first one, after
this one.
Yeah, I'm keeping him.
He's staying in the collection.
He gets to stay.
I think Renee's more of a collector than you.
Oh, maybe she is.
My sister.
But when him and I split up, I moved into my parents' house, back into their house where I grew up my whole life. And I've had some creepy stories that happened in their house, but this one time, I think this was the tragedy part. I'm like, a death of a marriage, maybe? I don't know. But I came out of the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I looked down the stairs, because the bathroom is directly in front of the stairs, and there was a woman in all white, glowing. She looked up at me, and I was like, what? I didn't know what to do. I ran into the bedroom and put the blanket over my head, because that's how you protect yourself from a ghost. You run into the bedroom and put the blanket over your head.
Easier to strangle you with.
Your feet gotta be touched.
She's definitely gonna be dead first.
The legs did not go off the bed. Yeah, no. But that was the only time I ever saw a ghost. I had experience of like ghostly things happen in their house, which her house isn't even old, so I don't know what was going on.
Is the house you're in now?
No, not my. No, I have stories about that house too. The house I live in now, my parents' house.
Oh, yikes!
When I was staying there,
when she thought it was your turn.
It's like I spent lots of time at your parents' house.
Yeah, I remember the Divine Thing story about the CD player.
Yes.
I'll have to tell that another time. But anyway, white ghost saw her, and it was during a time of heartache and sadness, and I saw her. So I really think that there's something to that whole, and I didn't connect it until I heard this story about the lady in white and how she's connected to tragedy and loss. So I was like, interesting. Did you ever have a white lady?
I've had.
He had a white man.
A white man.
So weird.
You had some weird, creepy stuff. You guys need to make sure you send us your story. We want to do an episode on our listeners' tales. So email us. It's thecousinsweird@gmail.com. Super easy to remember. No, I doubt it was. It probably was. You're just seeing things that people aren't, and that's okay. Because, I mean, I take crazy medicine. I still see it. So it's not that I'm crazy. It's that they're real. So, Lady in White revolves around tragedy, and she's in Rochester, and I gotta go. We gotta go. We should make a road trip.
You go and spend the night.
Which is not. My poor husband is not into that kind of thing.
I will. Well,
He'll drive down with us, but
he'll drive me down, drop us off.
I'm the man too.
That's true.
And
do you want to be the man going?
She would hate me.
She would hate you. She would hate you.
She'd chase you away.
That's right.
But this is the difference between Colleen and I. See, Colleen's got hers all nice and typed up, and I'm like old school, and I have mine all.
And then you hear this. It's Margaret.
But it is strawberry shortcake. I had a lot of those dolls as a kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
A lot of Barbies.
Not a Barbie.
Oh, me with strawberry shortcakes and
Care Bears.
Care Bears.
I
And
started
first
Sunshine Bear.
Sunshine Baby.
Sunshine. I had Good Luck Bear, I had Sunshine Bear, Cheer Bear, and all. I had lots of them.
I had a lot of red dolls.
So my
Brat. Oh, yeah. See, we're aging ourselves.
Yes.
She had brats. We had
yes.
strawberry shortcake. That's the age difference. This is a generation gap here.
And mine's not a spooky one, but it's about an interesting character who's a local person. His name was Samuel Guthrie Jr. He was born in 1782 in Brimfield, Massachusetts. His father was a senior. Obviously, he's a junior. But his father was a soldier during the Revolutionary War. He was a doctor. So this is the late 1700s. So we'll say doctor.
Anyone can be a doctor.
A doctor, right? From a young age, his mother, this is Junior, noticed that he had, in her words, developed an unwholesome interest in human anatomy.
Oh,
Draw
good.
your own conclusions to that.
What does that mean?
I don't understand what she means, but maybe he was obsessed with it.
I go to one of two places.
I'm thinking mad scientist.
Yes. So his interest was eventually directed his father's way as he came to work under his father in medicine. So they're like, okay, we're going to take your interest in anatomy,
unwholesome interest,
and we're going to direct it towards medicine. Yeah, that's the way to go.
So you have more access to
bodies. Right. At the age of 20, he moved to a place called Smyrna to set up his own medical practice. And at the age of 22, he married Sybil Sexton. Sybil Sexton, who was only 16.
But you know, the 1700s, they were weird.
Yeah. At this time, it was the 1800s, I
She's
think.
practically a spinster.
I know,
Well, it's
really.
true. It's true.
All right, so in 18...
She's over 12. What?
I know. In 1812, he found himself in Sackett's Harbor, because we know there's a war going on there. And he was the examining surgeon for the military unit who was stationed there to defend us against the British. And after the war was over, he was back in Smyrna and also conducting studies
Whatever
at
they may
the
be.
University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. So he's in the war as a surgeon, and he goes home, and then he was fascinated with the concept of vaccinations because it was kind of a new thing. And he injected himself with a trial of the smallpox vaccine. So he used himself as a guinea pig, but he never got smallpox, so...
I guess it worked.
Or he was never exposed. But
Or
being
it
a
was
doctor... Right. At this point, he and his wife had 3 children. He had 2 boys and a girl. And in 1817, he loads his family up, and his children were aged from 7 to 12. And all their possessions, and he moves them to Sackett's Harbor. And after they get there, they have another daughter. So at this point, they have 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. He bought a large plot of land on the eastern part of town, and he cleared the land. He built a house. He planted corn and wheat. Over the years, he was building a lot of things. He built...
Can't read your handwriting?
Nope.
That's why you type notes.
But over the years, he built lots of buildings. Like, he had a couple of distilleries on his property. He made a vineyard, but eventually abandoned it because it attracted too many admirers. What?
He like this and scared. See, we're haunted tales. You can't do that to a person.
But eventually he planted a vineyard, and it was really popular, and he was making really good quality wine. But he abandoned it because it attracted too many admirers.
What?
Like, people would come to see his vineyard, and he didn't like it because people were coming on his property. That tells you something. Like, what are you doing? That's making people...
Yeah.
You don't like people around.
He doesn't want people there because he's doing something shady.
Yes.
That makes
During
sense.
his building and planting phase on his property, money flow became an issue. But he had ways of supplementing his income.
Oh, no.
And it was to sell necessary training materials to medical schools.
Oh, we all know
Any idea
what
what those necessary medical materials were? Human skeletons, yes. And with the help of his neighbor, James Jenks, they would go...
James Jenks.
Yep.
That's
they
a
would
name.
go and dig up the unmarked graves of soldiers who died during the war because he was a surgeon and he knew where the bodies were buried. Literally. They would go and dig up
Oh, that's awful.
the remains. He would take the skeletons home and reassemble them, wire them, and sell them to medical colleges. This is how he supplemented his money.
The vineyard was not what he wanted to do, apparently.
Right. But he also would go to the local cemetery and pilfer skeletons from there, too. He liked skeletons.
He had an immoral obsession.
Unwholesome.
Oh, that was it.
Human
Unwholesome
anatomy.
obsession with human anatomy.
Yes. You got to find those old graves and...
They must have
give them
stunk.
skeletons. I can't imagine. There's a lot of funny little anecdotal stories about people after the fact that, like, went to his house and stuff.
Oh.
They said he would clean and wire them and sell them. And he always would store the bones that were obviously stored around his house and his property in barrels and chests. And there was even a story of the doctor a father had brought his son to his house because most surgeons worked out of their home back then. And he had broken his arm. So he sets his arm and he says to the father of the boy, he goes, I need to show you this break and I want to show you how, how it was broken and talk to you about it. And he says to his daughter, his daughter Harriet, bring John down. And so she leaves. And then they hear a ruckus, and she's dragging a skeleton down the stairs. But he called this skeleton John. So, he named the skeleton that he had in his house.
Well,
go bring John down. Okay, Dad.
Someone thinks it's the brother.
And it's his daughter, who's probably not very old at the time, dragging the skeleton down the stairs to show this guy
where his kid broke his arm.
Yeah, and the kid got so scared that he ran away. And he ran off because the kid was like, I don't want to see a skeleton.
A 10-year-old's dragging a skeleton in a room. Yeah.
Grave robbing was a common practice at the time for
Oh yeah.
medical. Yeah. So
That's
it was
how
like,
people made their money.
He was doing it, and he was a surgeon, but he was still digging up graves, and I think he liked to do it. Honestly.
He had it what was it?
An unwholesome.
I was going to call it unholy. Either way.
But I mean, people would come to his house and they'd open a door in the closet and it'd be a bunch of bones. like guys, I went and the one maid.
Yeah, it's got skeletons in his closet.
Literally, and there was a maid who went into a pantry to get flour and opened the wrong barrel, and there's bones in it. She's like,
she just shuts the lid and walks away.
Guthrie liked to experiment and invent things, and he invented a form of percussion powder and the punch lock pills or pellets, so for igniting it. So this is a different, for firearms.
Yeah.
So he basically, this new design he invented made the flintlock musket obsolete, because it made it so everything was enclosed. Like, you didn't have to, prime things.
Oh, yeah.
So you could put it in
Can
there.
you imagine, though, they were, shoot the gun, then you gotta pack it.
So, on his property...
You're dead before you can even load your gun.
On his property, he has a powder mill for gunpowder, and he's distilling alcohol from his wheat and his corn he's growing and his potatoes. So, he's got lots of things going on that are combustible, if you would say. Yes, so he owned and operated many distilleries on his property, and he would make alcohol and fine quality vinegar, along with potato molasses, which potato you make into vodka. So he's probably making whiskey from the corn and the wheat, and then vodka.
He's got a lot. He's a hustler.
He's got a lot going on. He's really hustling.
Happening.
He traded gunpowder to Madison Barracks, which is just funny to think of it as actual barracks.
Yeah, I know.
It's like there's restaurants.
It's a restaurant.
Yeah. And he had the powder mill, and you can rightfully assume that there were quite a few explosions from his businesses. He had his eyebrows singed off a few times, as well as mild burns on his face and arms. But there was one particular explosion that severely burned and lacerated his face. He never fully recovered from it. So, and he was really self-conscious about his looks after this happened. He went into a 2-week isolation and refused to see anyone, and he only accepted supplies through a small opening in his door. And he tended his wounds himself, and he spent a lot of time thinking, while he was sequestered himself away, and he's treating himself, and he's in a ton of pain. I mean, burns hurt. And this was explosions, so there's lacerations. He burned himself. And he's like, if only there was a way to make people not feel pain, especially he's a surgeon in the army, had to amputate limbs. He's had to reset bones on kids. And he's like, I wish there was a way I could do this where you wouldn't have to feel it. So he, through experimenting and having a ready supply of alcohol, because he eventually, in 1831, he boiled 2 gallons of alcohol with 3 pounds of chlorinated lime in a copper pot, which he tested on a cat. Of course, it's a cat. It's always a cat.
Poor kitty.
I'm a cat person. I have 4 cats at home.
She collects them.
He reported that the cat fell into a stupor and lay motionless when he tested this product on him.
How many cats did he go through?
I don't know. He said that he called the substance he made is often called sweet whiskey, but we know it as chloroform. So this dude invented chloroform in his whole laboratory.
He helped a lot of serial killers get what they needed.
The same year, highly equipped laboratories in France and Germany also discovered chloroform, but they did it all around the same time. But Guthrie, his was posted first. His recipe for it.
My brain just went, Guthrie. Is that why Guthrie on Fort Drum is named after him? Did I jump the gun on that?
Did.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I got you back.
So she got me back. The fact, Guthrie also discovered this using a primitive still. He was not in a professional laboratory. He was at his home.
That's why he blew himself up
a few times. But, I mean, he did the same thing first with less equipment.
Right.
Which is saying a lot. He was a genius. This man was really smart. I mean, obviously, he's like a con man. He's hustling. He's making his money. He's doing all kinds of stuff.
Most people that do that, though, are smart.
Yeah, he was the
That's
first.
Why they were able to do it.
His recipe was the first published. He died in 1848 at 66 years old. And they said he was an invalid. And there are very few photos, there are very few photographs of him. because he hated like even looking in a mirror at himself. And it said that when he was shown a daguerreotype of himself, he immediately destroyed it. He's like, nope, out of way. And his house still stands in Sackett's Harbor. You can go see it.
Is it?
Yeah.
What one is it?
I don't know.
You didn't give us the address?
I didn't.
No, that's a shame.
But,
I'll Google it.
This information that I got about him mostly came from the book called Colorful Characters of Northern New York, Northern Lights. And it's by David Shampine. But there was an excerpt in this book from a local newspaper, that talked about one of the explosions. Like, he wrote a letter to the paper in thanks to the local fire department.
For saving
helping him.
Yeah.
Yes, and I want to read it just because there's some pictures of him.
Oh, there he is. Look at him.
That's his house.
He looks a little creepy. Yep.
He's got a beard.
Quality beard. Is that him too?
No, this is
I was
not
saying
him.
he was handsome.
No, this actually wasn't him.
Oh, you're just in a totally different story.
I went forward too far. Let's see here.
Take that back. That wasn't him.
That was not him. I'm like, wait a minute. This is a weird picture. I don't remember. That's him. It's a drawing.
Okay.
But that's his house. Yeah. This is the letter was dated April 8th. And it was either 1820 or 1829 because printing back then was not great. The citizens of Jewettsville, this is what they used to call Sackett's Harbor.
Oh.
Was Jewettsville.
Didn't know that.
Will please accept my most grateful and sincere acknowledgments for their spirited exertions and admirable management in extinguishing the fire of my distillery this day. Great praise is due to the ladies, in particular, whose example in so nobly sustaining their efforts must have contributed largely to the success which resulted. So basically the women there were feeding the men.
Oh.
So they're like, okay.
Yep. Makes sense.
Okay. When it is recollected that an alcohol still had exploded with a violence that raised the roof and sprung apart the sides of the building so as to disengage many of its timbers, whilst at the same time it wrapped the roof in flames and threw upon another still, which set fire to its contents, by which at once more than 1,200 gallons of boiling alcohol and high wines were on fire.
12,000?
Yes. Together with one half of the roof, it is certainly a matter of astonishment that a building in such a situation could have been saved. Yet it was done. Few neighbors flew to the spot, and by the most surprising activity and perseverance, even against all hope, the fire was extinguished and a large amount of property rescued from destruction. So, it blew the building apart. It blew the
raised
sides out,
the roof.
and the roof raised off it. Yeah, it's I read it, I'm like, oh my god, this is not a small thing.
He started the raise the roof thing, too, I bet. Too.
But yeah, so that
Look
was...
at him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Spot that game.
Yeah. But yeah, we could go visit his house if we
That's
want to.
so cool. So we have 2 road trips. We're going to go to Rochester and see...
Sackett's isn't really a road trip, honey.
Hey, you can make it
Oh, we could go to the fairy room. The fairy tea garden. The soap lady. And
Oh, yeah. The handmaids.
It's like the handmaid's garden.
Yeah.
I kept saying the
Witchy
Handmaid's
Shop.
Tale.
It's
No,
fun.
that's the terrible book.
We don't want to go to the Handmaid's
We don't want to
Tale.
go there.
We're already halfway
Yeah.
there. We don't need to go any
We're
further.
on our way there now. We don't need to actually go there.
We don't need to keep going in that direction.
But yeah, I thought
He was
sounded
very interesting.
Like he invented chloroform and he blew himself apart a couple times.
He invented Raise the Roof.
And he robbed graves.
And he's a grave robber. He did a lot. Well, thank you, Sir Guthrie.
Mr.
And that's
Guthrie.
where Guthrie's...
Yeah, on Fort Drum, there's Guthrie Medical Building named after him.
Very interesting.
The inventor of
And
Yeah. And
he helped so many
character.
serial killers. That's great. Good for him.
Every week when
Abductors.
I drive by it, I'll know why.
Yeah, right? You're like, oh, chloroform man. That's how you got all those
Okay.
skeletons. No. Well, if you want to see pictures from our episodes, always follow us on Facebook and Instagram because we share all our pictures. Because sometimes you need to put a picture, the horribleness, into picture form. And that's... Margaret likes to send me pictures of snakes and feet, which I hate.
I don't think I've sent you pictures of snakes.
You sent me something. There was that snake oil one.
Oh, yeah, that was
It had
gross.
snakes.
Yeah, I did one on snake oil.
Oh. And then, so we're just the Cousins Weird. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And usually we say Anchorcom, but we're here. So I'll let you say the next one.
Oh, yeah, so if you'd like to reach out to us, send us an email. We're thecousinsweird@gmail.com. Or you can reach us, direct message us through Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Like us, share us, rate us.
Do all the things.
Yep, we're on all your podcast platforms. So
Yeah, if you review us
rate
on
follow us,
wherever you listen to us, it pushes us out there to the algorithms of the universe. and more people hear us. So we love it when you do that.
Definitely.
If you want, the best way to support us is through likes and word of mouth. I can't speak any longer.
Likes and shares.
Likes and words of mouth. and or you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/thecousinsweird. For $1 a month, you are a freaky friend, and you get bonus content and sticker. And for $5 a month, you're a terrible trender. You get bonus stuff.
We have a sticker for you.
Yes, we have a sticker for you.
A sticker for you.
Oh, he's got it in his pocket.
Hopefully it's not all wrinkled. Did you bring the magnets up?
No. Make sure you come see us.
Yes, if you're here and we have a special magnet for you.
Yeah, I didn't
to
bring
come
them up
see
with
us
me.
at the table.
You can have two.
Cousin's Weird.
You got them last year. It's the same magnet, but you can have another. You can never have enough magnets.
No, and they do magnet on your car.
They do.
So you know.
Yeah, so you can ride around with a Cousin's Weird magnet.
Magnet.
A magnet.
A magnet.
All right, I have nothing else. I can't form sentences.
We're good.
Thank you. Oh, we didn't end it.
Oh, stay freaky.
Bye.
Bye.